Get connected with Take Two Radio on Facebook or Twitter at Take Two Radio. For email updates on future shows, follow at Blog Talk Radio. For previous episodes, upcoming guests, and more, visit Take2Radio.com.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Take Two Radio. I'm Pam, your host, and joining me today is Sabina. Hello, Sabina.
Hi, Pam. How are you?
I'm good. You haven't been on since I got Automated Man. How have you?
No, I was freaking out there. I was like, where did he come from?
Yep. I added Automated Man to tell all the things that I normally have to say and sometimes forget to say some of them or even do it all together, So I figure it's easier this way. It'll do it before the show and, at the end of the show. So we got it all down pat.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
he just sounds really funny, that's all.
I
Anyways, today we have the pleasure of speaking with award-winning actress, producer, writer, singer, and model. Yes, she does it all. And we are welcoming Tracey Birdsall. Tracey, are you with us?
I am. Thank you so much for the nice introduction.
You're very welcome, and thanks for joining us. How do you like my Automated Man?
It's pretty fancy, actually.
Oh, my gosh. I just added him not too long ago, and every time I hear it, I have to laugh because he sounds so funny to me, and we're just not used to it yet either.
Funny.
So how are things with you today?
Things are fantastic. Yeah, we just had a couple of premieres on Saturday night, and they went amazing. So, life is going really, really well over here.
Well, I have to say, you're one busy woman. You do it all, and I don't know how you do it or when you find the time to sleep.
Well, you know what? I always say to people, the one thing that I need more in life is time. And so that's why I'm downsizing my life, because it's like I have to have more time to focus on all the things that I want to do. And I don't really plan on being that busy. I just get these great opportunities, and so I just keep going. And but I do need more hours in the day, so I'm creating them as we speak.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always that opportunity you would hate to say no to and then regret it in the end. So I can imagine it's pretty easy to say yes with most of them.
It's really easy to say yes, and it seems like great opportunities always come right about when you think that you just can't fit one more thing in. and then you're like, oh, my gosh, I have to do one more thing, but, I'm so excited. And so all of a sudden you just keep going and going. And I just, I don't know, I seem to be happiest that way. I like it. I like keeping on moving and just having a lot of things to do. And life is so exciting, so you don't want to miss out on anything. But you have to sometimes.
Right, exactly. And I think that's for most people these days. There's so much going on, and I multitask all the time, and people are like, how do you do? Even Sabina says it to me. She'll be like, how do you do all of that all the time? I'll be doing an interview, I'll be tweeting, I'll be doing something else and whatever. And she's like, I don't know how you do that. My attention has to stay on one thing. And it's just, I guess you get used to it, especially when you get married and you have 4 kids, and you just got to do it all.
Right. It does get easier because I raised 3 kids, and my youngest just graduated high school. So it's like all of a sudden I do have a ton more time, and I'm like, oh, this is how other people live.
Yeah.
So it's like really funny. It's like all of a sudden you can fit so much more in, and they can drive themselves everywhere, and they move out, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have like this whole life now. So.
Yeah, they move out, huh? Well, I've had some
really
move out,
do.
but some move back in, so
be
ready
for
that,
of those
too. See?
I do actually, yeah. Yeah, but she moved back for a new career move, and it was a good move for her. So, yeah. So anyway, she'll be flying the nest hopefully again, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes we need a little push, right?
And you kids want to get in the entertainment business?
Well, my 2 oldest kids grew up in it. So they, my son did a ton of commercial. He got offered a lot more things than he did because, unlike his mother, he was very capable of saying no. Because we lived on the beach. So I'd be like, Aaron, they want you to go to this callback, or Aaron, they want to book you for this. And he'd be like, Mom, I want to be a kid first. So I gave that to him.
Wow.
So he did work in the industry, but a lot of times he passed on things too, and I think that's a real skill that I don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then my daughter worked in it too. Yeah, but my youngest daughter isn't really that interested, even though she's done a few things. You know, people have asked her to do things, and she's done them, but it's not really her fancy. It doesn't really rock her boat at all. So. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, they're all independent of each other, and they all have their own minds on what interests them. So that's a good thing.
Oh, it really is. Yeah, I wouldn't wish my life upon anybody, even though it's fantastic. Not anybody can take that. You know, it's kind of, I don't know.
That's
I would
so
not
true.
wish it on my children. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's go back a bit and tell us when you became interested in being in the entertainment business, and what caught your attention first? Was it acting, singing, all of the above?
Well, it's kind of an easy answer. When I was a little kid, I went to Gary Dance Studio in Burbank. So I was, started out singing and dancing when I was, 4 years old, 3 years old, something like that. And I think at the very first performance that we did, there were almost 1,000 people there. It was a huge showcase thing. And, of course, I was a very small part of it, even though in my mind I was a very large part of it. And I was tap dancing and singing, and it was I Can't Give You Anything But Love, Baby. And I just remember the audience reaction. I remember my heart racing. I remember being fueled by that energy. And that was all I wanted to do from then on, was perform and be on a stage and be in front of people. And then, of course, my mom didn't have the same idea. My mom said, no, this is what you do when you're kids. You take singing lessons and dancing lessons and everything. And so back then, the industry wasn't like it is now, and so, we didn't have all the digital everything. So my mom had a couple of people say to her, she really ought to be in show business. My mom would go, yes, but she doesn't have to. That's not what I want for her. And I would just sit there. I remember looking up at her like, really? So it was kind of a slow crawl in, without, being anybody else's idea. And so then when I was 15, I actually was got the opportunity to do the Sunkist Soda commercials, which ran for years and years. And that was kind of my segue. That was kind of when I thought, okay, now I can do this, and nobody's going to stop me, and focused on that. And singing something that I did just to help pay bills because I was an actress. So I would sing in clubs on Friday and Saturday nights, and to bring in extra money because I didn't want to work a regular job while I was out pounding the pavement. So that worked out really well for me because I sang growing up. So that was kind of an easy fallback position.
Well, that definitely made things easier. I mean, you hear about all the actors and actresses and that starting out and having to wait tables and things like that and doing those types of jobs. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just not what they want to be doing.
And what's funny about it is, I always had a commercial running, when I was young. It's like I kept one on the air because it paid the bills. And then I had to add into that because I was a single mom. But commercials were very, very unpopular. The actresses didn't do commercials. It was considered something people looked down upon then. It wasn't like it is now. So I would go to acting classes and people would talk about their day jobs and their waiter jobs and stuff like that. But I'd have to kind of keep quiet because I would get teased that I did commercial. But it didn't make any sense to me why they didn't see that you do a commercial and you get paid like you're working a regular job, only you don't have to be there all the time. So now, the world kind of came to its senses on that, but it was funny. It was a long, long journey of people not thinking that was cool and trying to kind of keep that under my belt. And then not a lot of actresses are also models. A lot of models eventually turn into acting, but I grew up doing swimsuit modeling as a teenager, so it was kind of an easy journey for me. But it wasn't always glamorous. I did catalog and I did all kinds of things because then again you have to make ends meet. So when you talk about opportunity, it's always you get this next great opportunity and it's going to pay the bills, and then you can do all the things that you want to do. So it was kind of a struggle, but it's so funny because it all ended up being in the same thing. I still do a lot of those things,
Right.
I
always
thought that one of them
had such a stigma, I had no idea.
Oh, yeah, it was really, really, it was something that you kind of kept hush. Even though people knew that I did it, I didn't talk about it. I kept it to myself, yeah.
That's unreal. You're working, you're acting, a commercial's still acting, so I don't see what the issue is. And that's the same thing like the soaps, I know you've done a couple of them that I've watched, the Young and the Restless and Loving. But nowadays it seems to be opening up where it's not such a stigma anymore, that people, primetime actors and actresses are actually getting on soaps. So
Isn't
I
that
think
interesting?
That's great.
Yeah, it didn't used to be that way.
Yeah.
I always just kind of liked working in my industry. So even if they may not have been, at the time what everybody else thought that I ought to be doing, I knew that I didn't belong in a restaurant, waiting tables. I knew that that wasn't a good use of my time. And at least I was using my talent and my creativity and exercising those muscles, which, later on you can bring with you. But it just didn't make any sense to me, and I didn't know why nobody else saw that. It just didn't make any sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Now, do you miss having to memorize all those pages from being on a soap?
I really don't. Yeah, I really don't, because I have this little routine when I have to memorize things where I do it at 4 or 5 in the morning. And so when you have to do it at that immediate way, there's a time where everybody's brain can crunch dialogue, can really get it down, and you have to find your own time and have a consistent, method that you do it in. I have my little spot that I go to when the house is quiet before everybody else wakes up. And but when you have to crunch dialogue and you don't have time, then it's just harder, because you're learning your dialogue and getting to know your character at 2 different stages. So if you don't have the time to do it, then you have to, everything's on a shortened time frame, and it doesn't quite work out as well. But it's a different type of acting. Yeah.
I can't even imagine having to memorize lines at 4 or 5 in the morning. I mean, most people are asleep at that time. And although I'm a night owl, and when I do my questions for my guests and that, you'll find me at the computer at 3 or 4 in the morning doing that.
Right.
And it seems to be when my brain works the best. I don't know what it is.
I think it's open. Your brain's not thinking about what it has to do that day yet, and it's not thinking about what it had to do the day before. There's this big empty spot, and I can memorize in, a third of the time if I just sit down and kind of get to know it at that time in the morning. It's kind of an interesting process, yeah.
Do you stay awake after that, or do you go to sleep and then wake up
I
and
do
think,
both.
oh,
a lot of times I go
over
back
them
to bed.
again?
Yeah. It depends on how tired I am, right?
Yeah.
But and I can't drink coffee before I learn my lines either, because it takes me out of that zone. So
wow.
A lot of times I'll just go right back to bed and then have a second morning. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it's just that whatever works for you works, and that's the way you have to do it and stick with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What did you learn from being on the soaps that you brought to your other movies and shows that you did? What did it teach you besides memorization,
a lot of it is,
of course?
Yeah, memorization, but I think getting in touch with your character really quickly, because even though we don't have to do that in film, it's important to kind of get a grasp of who the character is so that you can kind of develop it and become it, because I work with a coach. Her name's Margie Haber, and I think she's the best out there. And she teaches you to live the life. So when you go out there, you're actually, living that. You're not acting that. And so I think that started that journey early on, where you have to just pick up on the emotions and the feelings really quickly, because you might be having a scene with somebody and you met them 5 minutes ago, and you have to already make an emotional attachment. And that comes in really handy. So you gain skills from doing soap that you can carry into film and television acting that I think are really, very good skills. Yeah.
Yeah. This is Sabina, by the way. I haven't introduced myself yet. Hello.
Hi, Sabina. Nice to meet you.
It's very nice to meet you and talk with you. Thank you so much. I was curious because you actually got to work with Stephen Nichols on YNR, and I feel like it's such a treat. He was actually on my favorite soap, Days. So I was curious what he's like to work with.
Nicest guy, really easy to work with. And, then again, I only met him just before we shot. And he's just really easy to flow with. He's really easy to connect with. And calm demeanor, very welcoming, just fantastic guy. Yeah. Can't say
awesome.
enough positive things. Yeah. Can't say one negative thing about him. I mean, he was just a great guy. Yeah.
Easy on the eyes, too, right?
He was very easy on the eyes, yeah. But he was really, you just kind of flow right into a scene with him, and it's just, the scene's just there. So it was nice. Not all actors are like that, so that's a pleasure. Yeah. I know he's a very good-looking man. I agree.
Very, yes.
Yes.
I wasn't sure if you knew about him being on Days as well, so thought I'd throw that
I remember
in there.
it now that you say it, yeah, but I didn't really, yeah.
So,
wasn't part of my encyclopedia.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I watched Family Ties growing up for many, many years, and I know you were on it. And, of course, it's been a long time since I saw that show, so I'm a little rusty on who your character was, but I wanted you to share a little bit about Cammie with us.
Well, it's been a long time since I saw that show, too. But it actually was an episode that I worked on with that, where I was in a bank situation where Michael J. Fox was with this. He got hired at this bank, and he kind of took it wrong that his boss was interested in him. So my character wasn't as exciting as I'd like to make her sound. I mean, I could carry on or whatever, but it was a small part. But I was basically one of the bankers in there, and he had a thing against women in intelligent positions. If you remember his character very well, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So she was kind of playful and a little dingy on the surface, but then she was very bright, which he always finds that to be very intimidating. But he is an adorable man too. What a great person to work with he was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just as welcoming as they come.
Yeah. I love that show. That was one of my favorites growing up.
Yeah, me too.
And I have many.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we got attached to the shows back then because there weren't so many of them. Do you know what I mean? So we would get attached to the TV shows. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to kind of say, is that too bad his recent show didn't work out like so many others, because they don't really give it time anymore for it to catch on.
They don't. You get shot down pretty quick right now. I mean, so many of them don't even make it to, out of pilot. They don't even make it to the air. So, and then now they just kind of, they look at the numbers and they make decisions quick, and they replace actors, and then they yank them off the air. Yeah.
I know. So. And it's so sad because I'll watch something new and watch maybe 2 or 3 episodes and then go to watch it again the following week, and it's gone. And I'm like, what happened? Well, of course, thankfully, because of Twitter, you find out the answer to that question rather quickly.
Right.
When they'll say, well, this show was canceled, that show was canceled, this show. I'm like, what? I love that show, And
me too, and it's such a sense of loss. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, or they'll just disappear from the queue, and they don't even realize that they're gone.
Yeah. I know. Well, the thing is, because there are so many shows out there now, it's just that we watch as many as we can watch. We DVR as many as we can DVR. And again, there's almost, so much time in a day that you can do all this, and then you go to Netflix or you go to Amazon Prime or something like that to catch up on the things, or do a binge watching of something. But they don't take that into consideration, and I think that's a shame for not only just the actors that are in it, but of course the crew and everything. They all lose their jobs as well.
They do. But I think at the same time, there's always so many of them that are starting up too. So I like the long running series myself. I mean, I'll punch a show that I watched that got yanked off the air, and that was, do you remember The Event? Did you see that? Jason Ritter in it?
That show.
Oh my God, that was like the smartest show. So I was watching this show and I was completely sucked into it, and all of a sudden it just disappeared. And I'm like, how can America not be like watching, all of America be watching that show? I mean, the storylines and everything. And it was just gone. And I had this huge sense of loss,
Especially when they cut it off with no proper ending that leaves you hanging.
Exactly.
That really kills me. It's almost like reading a 1,000-page book and getting to the end, and then it leaves you hanging, and you're thinking, okay, there's going to be a second book, and there's not.
Right. No, I still want to know what happened next in The Event. It's driving me crazy. I wish you could buy the unaired episodes. Wouldn't that be a neat marketing thing?
Yeah.
Because, they have so many of them shot already, so on so many of these, I'd just love to see what's left on it, But,
that would be maybe a good idea for somebody to start, that maybe when you have a few minutes you can start.
Right.
They got so many, web episodes of, soaps and things like that, where you could maybe do a series of Did you want to know what happened at the end of this show because they cut it off and you don't know? Are you dying to know? Well, here it is.
That's kind of a brilliant idea, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. I love
getting
that.
your hands on that, on the rest of it is, the thing. It would be nice if they put it on, like, DVD, like they put all the shows on the DVD anyway. So they just put it on a DVD set, and you can get the rest of it there.
Or Netflix it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but I guess the production money stops pouring in when they start making it, so it would have to almost be like a secondary business that started that went into completing things, It's a good business opportunity out there for somebody.
That's right.
Not me, I have no time.
Spread the word.
That's not my job. Yeah.
No, before we get into your movies, I want to acknowledge that you were chosen as a finalist in the Wilhelmina 40-plus model search and congratulate you on that.
Thank you. It was kind of a random thing. I'd given up print work a long time ago because you always think that you're going to get, to your late 20s and it's going to be over. And thank heavens that the baby boomers are the biggest buying power out there right now because it created a surge in models over 40. So, I just kind of, I do a lot of things randomly. It's like, oh, well, why not, And so I'd entered that, and then I made it, to the finalists, and we went to New York, and what a fabulous time that was. But I still didn't expect anything of it. But what ended up happening is I ended up working a lot after that. So it's kind of funny how life works. You take your opportunities, you see things that are out there, and you just follow them. And I didn't have any time then either, but I've made time for it, and it's been really fun to be back in front of the camera in that way because I love print work, and it's very rewarding. Yeah.
Well, I never understood why there was a cutoff on modeling anyhow. I mean, like you said, the baby boomers right now are spending the dollar, but even so, I mean, even if it was like back in the 60s or something, there's still parents, there's still women out there that want to buy clothes or want to buy makeup or something, and they always put it on, some girl that's 16 years old, and you can't imagine yourself in that or wearing that and thinking, well, forget about that one, So you just move on to the old Sears catalog.
That's funny. Yeah. Oh, gosh. Remember the Sears catalog? Wow, that was forever ago. Yeah. That was a giant book. Yeah. Yes. but it was the way that it was, and it was the same thing with acting, where there weren't that many opportunities when people got older. So, I'd kind of just considered that I would go on to do something else. And I have a hobby. I like to build houses and flip houses, and so I would do that between projects in my spare time. And I just always thought, oh, well, maybe I'll just, do this when work dries up. And I would say, if anything, work has just increased, and life has gotten better, and I don't know. It's just kind of a really cool thing when you get to the point where you thought you wouldn't be working at all, and you're working more than you did when you were younger. I love it.
Yeah.
I want to be Betty White when I get older.
Now's the time to do it, I guess. Like you said, with your kids, being grown and everything now, it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah. Well, I want to work forever. I just love it. I'm not one of those people that ever wants to put it down. It drives me. It inspires me. My own work inspires myself. I'm like, oh, what else can I do? This is really fun,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, you won quite a few awards for your movie TikTok, such as Merit for Leading Actress, Action on Film, Best Cinematography, Best Actress, Golden Palm Award for Short Film, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
I love that you get all these awards. It's wonderful to be acknowledged that way, I would imagine.
It is, because when you do it, you're not doing it for that reason. You're trying to make the very best product that you can. And that came after I actually had been working since I was 15. So, and I took some time off. I thought, you know what? I'm not going to work for a while, and I moved down south to Rancho Santa Fe, and just I'd sold off my production company, and I thought, okay, I'm going to take a break now. And if the break didn't drive me absolutely batty, so I came back. I'm like, okay, I have to work. I came back, and I thought, oh, I haven't been gone that long. Everybody will be happy to put me to work. And people had died, and people had retired, and it hadn't been that long, and it was really hard to kind of crawl my way back into the industry, so I made the very best short film that I could. put it out there just as kind of like a calling card, and it worked. It worked. It got tons of awards all over the world, and so it was a good move, but it was a lot of fun to make too. I love producing. So.
Yeah, and I think that the more women that win awards for doing these types of movies, independent film, is so great because they're not acknowledged as much as the men are in the industry, and I'm not sure why that is, but it seems to be becoming more well known that women are able to do all of these things.
Mhm. When I was younger, my dad used to tell me, the opportunities aren't as fair for women as they are for men, and this, that, and the other thing. But he called me Tracy Lee. He'd go, Tracy Lee, you can do anything you want to do. And it was really funny because I never really, I saw it in the world around me, but I didn't find that in my life. I didn't ever feel, slighted in the male to female gender. I think I've always, done really well with it. And the same thing with that, with the awards and things like that. I feel like I've been sufficiently, if not over acknowledged. Do you know what I mean? It's like I feel like, that's great. I think it's wonderful, but I'm kind of humble about it too. It's like, gosh, really? Did I deserve that? Was my movie as good as those other movies? So I always feel like that. I always feel like I can do better and be more, but I don't always feel like I was the best there, even if I got the award. It's kind of a funny thing. Yeah.
I think that's kind of how you have to have your mindset as a woman, even as a young girl growing up, that you don't think of gender. You just do what you want to do, what you feel that you need to do, what your passion is, and just go for it all the way.
That was a great quote. You should write that down. But I was a tomboy growing up. So growing up, I didn't really feel. I was always very much a girl and always very much attracted to boys, but I didn't feel different. Men, women, different. I always felt just as capable. But I kind of give credit to my parents for that. I think that they really helped instill that in me. But I never really felt separated by gender. So I agree with you.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's definitely a good thing. Now, this month we'll bring 2 new films with you in it, and I'd like to start out with Dawn of the Crescent Moon, where you play a character by the name of Tracy, and I think that makes things easier for you.
Isn't that a slight coincidence? Not really, but yeah.
Tell us more about that movie and your character.
Okay.
Please.
Well, the people that made that movie. They're very good friends of mine, Kevin Coleman and Kirk Ludden. They're people that I've worked with before. I've actually hired Kirk before to polish screenplays when I've done with them twice. And because he's very, very good, and even though I write, it's like, and I write in proper format and everything, you always need somebody with a lot more training to kind of go over it and tighten it up. I think it's a really good thing to do anyway. So I'd known them for a while, and Kevin used to produce a lot of commercials, and he always wanted to do a feature. So he's written these lovely scripts that have gotten these lovely awards, but he'd never actually produced or directed a film. So these 2 guys got together and decided they were going to make this movie, and he's like, yep, we're actually going to really make it. And he goes, I'm going to send it to you. And he goes, and if you'll just look through there and see if there's any part in there that looks like something that you might be willing to do. So here I think I'm supposed to read the script and go, oh, I could do this or that. So I get the script, and like right away, it's like, I don't know, page 1 or 2, it's like I see Tracy, and it's spelled the same way as mine, which is, kind of rare. And so I just started laughing. I was like, okay, there's no way you can say no, even though I wouldn't have said no. It was like, it was really kind of cool. So, and I got to work opposite Barry Corbin, who's just an absolutely lovely human being. It was a blast. So.
And when does that come out? Does that come out on VOD or DVD or something?
I'm not exactly sure. I know that it's coming out. I just don't know exactly sure. We just had the premiere Saturday night for both of the films that are coming out. So we just had the premiere, and so I can ask the guys and try to get more detailed information on that, but I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you. That would be good to know because I'd like to watch them.
Yeah, same here.
And I might be able to get you a link where you could watch it too. I know that nothing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I know that nothing's visible to the public, but I might be able to get you something that you can watch. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
That would be awesome. Now, do you find it easy to watch yourself when you go to a premiere and see yourself in a movie like that, or do you sit there and think, oh, I could have did that differently or said that differently?
You know, once you do it, you kind of have to own it, and that's what you did, and you can take it forward and learn from watching yourself. But, you know, it sounds really corny, but we've already watched ourselves in the mirror do it so many times before we even shot it. So it's like, so because when you have things you don't really know what you want to do, you work them through and you experiment, and then if you ever get stuck on something, then you go to a coach, you know, and you go, hey, help me with this, you know. And I don't know what the right or wrong answer is, but I like watching myself on the screen, and I love listening to on the other movie. I love it in comedy when everybody just starts busting up in the theater laughing. I mean, it's a fabulous feeling. It's kind of a rush. So I don't judge the project or anything else. I don't really even judge myself at that point. I kind of just enjoy it. You know, you did that and you're there.
I think that's a good way of doing it. There's people out there that won't watch anything that they've been in, and then others will watch everything they've been in and then feel like, you know, regrets that they didn't do something differently. So just being in the moment and watching it and enjoying it with the audience, I think is the best way to do it.
Well, it's so much fun. You know, I don't know, I just think it's a blast. And I don't believe in regrets anyway. If we all lived in thinking about any regrets, then that'd just drag you down. I just believe in learning from things, but I don't have any regrets.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Kudos to you. That's a good thing. I like the way you think.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the reasons I've survived out here. You know what I mean? It's kind of a tough industry, and people are like, but you didn't get this and you didn't get that. And I'm like, yeah, but I got the experience to go live that in the room. So I already feel like I've succeeded before I even get cast in something, because I look at the audition as a process where I actually get to go live that character. So it's exciting for me. Yeah. So I'm like, really? I got rejected? When did I get rejected?
Yeah.
I love the way you think as well. It's very empowering and
thank you.
Motivating even to me, you know, someone like me. So I love hearing that.
Yeah.
Now, I can't help but laugh every time I think of the name of this next movie, and that is Do You Like Your Balls? You have to tell us more about this movie and your role as Francesa. Oh, my gosh. I laugh
and what
every
a great
time.
name to be Francesca, right? I always thought that was such a cool name, and it's like, really? I get to be Francesca? Oh, that's so exciting. It's so sexy. You know? I think I started getting into that long before it even got close. I was just so excited about it. That was a really, really, really funny movie, and I could use about 10 more reallys in there, because they're all stand-up comedians. And I got cast in it not knowing that they were comedians. I mean, Jerry Bednob, who plays my older husband in it, was from 40-Year-Old Virgin. And, I mean, it's just like this crazy cast of impeccably timed, you know, comedians. And so the room just flowed, but it was so funny that I've probably watched this thing, I don't know, I helped in post, so I've watched it probably a few hundred times. And I still laugh at it. I still think of the jokes throughout the day. I mean, it is just, God, I'd love to tell you what it's about. I always forget what it's about because it's so funny. You know, it's like taking Seinfeld and Hangover and all these other, and mixing them up with this loony cast, and they're all so good at all the little tiny things, because they're all acting. They're all their characters. They're not acting. I mean, it's just, I don't know. You're going to have to watch it is all I can say.
Yeah. Oh, I will, because my favorite all-time go-to is comedy, and I'll watch every TV show and every movie that is a comedy. I feel like, you know, sometimes life is so overwhelming and so stressful, and you watch the news and you get depressed. You got to get yourself out of the funk, and what better way to do it than to watch a comedy?
You know, I am completely with you. I love watching a comedy before I go to bed at night. I just think it's so healthy. Unless I'm in something that's very dramatic that I'm studying and I kind of want to go a little down, then I'll let myself kind of go to a darker place for a few weeks. But in my normal life, I want to laugh before I go to bed. I just think it's such a healthy thing to do.
Well, I thank God for Nick at Night, because every single night before I go to sleep, I watch George Lopez. I mean, that can't get any funnier to me. And I've seen all the episodes a trillion times, and I still laugh at the same parts, you know. It's like watching Lucille Ball, too. I mean, the same thing.
Oh, my God,
Sabina's
my favorite.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
We're all bonded
here. That's all of our favorites.
I know, I love Lucille Ball. I actually got to be a character name. Well, I got to choose her name, which was a funny thing, because they were renaming the characters, and they were going through some different options, and one of the options was Lucille. And I don't think they were talking to me. I think they were talking to people in general, and I just went ballistic. I'm like, oh, I want to be Lucille. Da, 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 da. So I got to be Lucille, and I was so excited. And, she's just so much fun to watch because every single little tiny, minute detail about her is so funny. And it makes you just want to work harder to be a better comedic actress because you're like, oh, my God, I can be funnier. So she's great to watch. Her and Charlie Chaplin, they're just both so funny.
Yeah,
definitely.
I've always been such a huge fan, and I've actually gone to Jamestown. There's festivals there from where she was born, and it's amazing getting to go and see all the fun stuff. And there's actually two ladies who are impressionists and do a fantastic job of Lucy from I Love Lucy. They're both phenomenal. And if you've never heard of them, you've got to go check them out. So
that's awesome. You know, I learned something about her because I studied a little more about her when my character became Lucille because I decided, I got to integrate a little bit more of this into this person that I'm trying to create in my mind. And it was really funny because I was talking to somebody who told me that in her scripts that, you know, all those little tiny things she does, where she'll rub her nose or pull her ear or wiggle funny or stumble out, do you know that every single one of those things is in the script? Like, we look at her and we think she's improvising what's in the script. And she's not. She actually wanted them to put all that little stuff in there, which I can't imagine the amount of prep time that went into, you know, taking that on. But, so she's a better actress even than we realize. When you learn that about somebody. When you can
I would have thought
that
was improvised, you know, and that just was part of her and what she made of her character, but I didn't realize that it was actually written. But I guess a lot of things are written that we don't realize, you know, when you guys
think
do
about
things.
How much fun that would be as an actress. I mean, that's what I look at. I look at it from a perspective of, wow, how amazing would that be to get, you know, a script that was that long and that detailed and actually pull that off. I just think that would be such a challenge, and we love challenges, but oh my gosh, it would be amazing.
Well, I would imagine with so much being written for her that it probably was close to being like a soap opera with all the pages.
I can't imagine. We almost need to see a script, don't we?
I know, we do. Let's find one.
We have to find one. We need one. Yeah, I'll go practice it. See if we can get a fake audition set up, right?
You're right.
That's so funny.
Well, I did notice on your IMDb that you have a few more movies coming out. There's The Grounded and Courting Chaos. Is there anything you can tell us about those?
Well, Courting Chaos actually just came out, so it's out now. It's on video on demand. That's a really, really fun movie. It's again a comedy, but it's a little bit of a dramedy. It has a little bit of the drama edge. That's a beautiful story about a high fashion model teenager whose mom is her manager, and she goes out the streets of Venice. These guys actually came in from Australia to film this, the whole production team. And she sees the street clowns, and she's enamored with their life and their perspectives and their views and things like that. And it's all about the process of how she rebels against, you know, the normal life of what's expected of her and the life of what comes easy and what comes naturally. And so it's kind of one of those really good, feel-good, you know, drama/comedies. And I have a very small part in that. I have they called it a cameo, even though it's a little more than a cameo. But it was really neat because it was during the time where she kind of transforms from where she's rebelling, and she kind of transforms. You know how you always kind of trust your hairdresser, right? So I'm the hairdresser in it.
Right.
And she's trusting in me to help her along with this. But I'm also friends with her mother, and so it's this whole thing where we kind of go ahead with the change that is going to flip everybody out. And so that was a really nice part. I really enjoyed that, and I really enjoy the finished product of the film. So it's really rare to see a feel good comedy like that, that comes out, that you can just kind of, it's like a family film. You don't even see that many. They're not made by Disney anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. I'm hoping that I'll get to find that. I don't know.
I think it's on video on demand and DVD. Yeah, that's
Where?
out. It had a limited
I'm not that
theatrical.
familiar with video on demand.
Oh. Well, if you have, the DVR thing where you just do the video on demand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just search
it.
on
I have that, but I'll have to check into it. I'll find it somehow, one way or another.
Get with it, Sabina.
Sounds good. What?
I said,
and while
with
you're at
it,
it, can you get a Lucy script for me, Sabina? No,
sorry,
somebody's got to have time to do these things, right?
I'm behind on all my shows as it is. I can't catch up. But
I haven't even looked at my DVR in weeks, and I'm so I know Homeland comes back on October 5th, but I usually watch all the episodes. I watch episodes of the shows of some of my friends are on, and then I try to watch a little bit of the things that I'm addicted to, but I haven't even turned it on. That's what's kind of sad. But I've been so busy, which makes me not sad.
Yeah.
So.
Right. It's good to be busy.
It's good to be busy, but you do miss your shows.
Yeah. I'm curious who you would love to work with that you've not had the pleasure of working with yet.
Oh, my gosh. Like 1,000 people.
Well, whatever comes
Bradley
to your mind
Cooper would be good. Yeah, I would work with Bradley Cooper. Who else would I love to work with? I love comedians. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's come back to that one.
Okay.
It would have been George Clooney, but now he's getting married, so nobody wants to work with George Clooney.
Okay.
Well, George Lopez is single. He's a comedian.
Yeah. No, I'm not really looking for hooking up. I'm just joking about working opposite them.
I know.
Somebody like Goldie Hawn would be really fun, wouldn't she? If she did something new?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, that would be so much fun. Because I love comedy opposite another woman, too. For some reason, I think women are so much fun to play off of.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. So how about this one? Is there anyone that you've worked with already that stands out for you? Any special story or anything?
I'd have to take this last film that came out Saturday night, which is Barry Corbin, because first of all, I was excited to work opposite him. We've all watched him on Northern Exposure and hundreds of movies, and I didn't really know what to expect because all except for one of my scenes in that movie, and I'm in that movie a lot, were with Barry Corbin. So I knew I'd get to know him really well. Oh, and Dennis Hopper, too, but I'll tell you that story next. So I remember showing up, and oh, my gosh, the guy was just, it's like you'd known him forever. So we literally all worked together all day. We stayed in this little bed and breakfast at night. The town only had, 274 people or something like that, so it was just one big block. And we hung out at Joe's bar, and we carried on, and it was just so much fun. And now he's like one of my best friends. I mean, he comes out and visits. We get together. He knows my kids. I know his. It's just such a funny thing, but he's become one of my favorite people. And he's worked with a lot of my friends. He's worked with Jonathan Banks before, and he's worked with Lonnie Anderson before. So he came out to Malibu a couple of months ago, and Jonathan Banks was, he's in that new prequel to what is it, Breaking Bad. So, but he hadn't left yet, and so I got them together. We all went to Duck Dive, which is one of our favorite little jaunts out here, and that was just so much fun. So, yeah, it was definitely Barry.
That sounds like a fun story.
Just so much fun. I can't tell you all the bad stuff that happened. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, he was actually there Saturday night, too, at the premiere, so that was really fun. And then he won't be at the awards show this weekend because he's filming a movie right now in 100-degree heat, so, yeah.
Oh, Lordy.
And then I went to his sets after that. I went to the set of Anger Management and met that whole gang, kind of a crack-up. They're all very funny. But, yeah. So have you watched that show, Anger Management?
I caught a couple episodes of it because it's on at the same time as the 30 other shows I watch.
Right.
And
it's really funny.
Pretty funny. Yeah.
It's really funny. Yeah. I started watching it because now Barry and I were friends, but I've gotten really, really hooked on it. Yeah. It makes me laugh. So.
Definitely. I mean, no matter what anybody thinks of Charlie Sheen in real life, he definitely can pull off comedy. He's a good actor. Actually,
he's a funny guy in
movie.
person too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think he's funnier in person than he is in his scripts.
Oh yeah,
really?
He's just very, very witty. Yeah. I had to. It took me about 10 minutes to realize that he was a few steps ahead of me, and I'm a pretty bright chick. So
yeah,
he's very funny. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think he's probably one person that his brain never shuts off, so it's just go, go, go,
Yeah, it's a great brain, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's a funny set.
I have to agree.
Yeah, right. What is it, Tigers something and all, or whatever? I don't know. I don't remember what that was.
Yeah, he's come up with some good things, let me tell you, and you kind of think, what?
I know, exactly.
Then you think, oh, that's Charlie. Well, yeah, okay, we'll let that go.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. No, it's a funny show.
Now, did anyone give you any advice when you started out that you carried on through your career and would like to pass on to others that are just starting out in the business?
Well, I've gotten a lot of advice over the year. Most of it wasn't worth a lot, but the really key pieces of advice that I've gotten, I think, are what you were commenting on earlier about my attitude, my perspective. So I can't remember who told me this, but when I was much younger, if the way to find out if you should be in this industry or not is if you absolutely can't help it, then be in it. Otherwise, go find something else to do, because it really does, really hurt a lot of people because they just can't keep up with it, and it ruins their self-confidence and all these other things. So the one way to know for sure is if you have anything else that interests you, go do it. And if you can't help but to be an actor or a model or whatever these things are that are so difficult, then that's what you're supposed to be doing. And that's something that I always fell back on in my life. The other thing is that auditions are an end game. You have to look at an audition as an end game. You can't look at it as, you can't think when you walk out of there, oh, I wonder if I got that.
Right.
Yeah. And then a couple years ago, maybe a few years ago, a good friend of mine, Mark Sykes, he's a casting director, he said something to me, and it was some of the best advice I'd gotten, and it really made a difference in my career. And that is that he said, we were talking about how I could make things move a little faster and stuff, which obviously I figured that out. And he said, what'd you do today? And I said, well, I did this, that, and the other thing. Well, what'd you do yesterday? I did this, that, and the other thing. And he said, Tracy, the one thing you have to do is you have to do something every single day. He said, actors think, that they're either acting or they're not acting. He goes, but your job as an actor is to be constantly working towards it. So you have to do something every day. And I did an experiment for a month. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try this. So every day I made sure to do something to further my career. And it really works. So if people, you have to look at it, people work jobs and they're working 8 hours a day or 9 hours a day. Well, actors need to put that same time, not just into getting work and promoting your work, but into preparing for your work. Because so many actors show up and they don't, they're like, well, they said we didn't have to be off book, which means knowing your lines. Well, but as an actor, if you want to get that part, or if you just want to go have that experience and do the best job that you could, why wouldn't you spend your 8 hours that day and have it be brilliant? Because that's how you're going to be known, as however you last walked in the room. So it just changed it changed my whole perspective. It's like, well, people are putting that kind of time into their regular jobs, and so I started putting that kind of time into just my auditions. And I think that really made all the difference in the world. And it made me enjoy it more, because nobody wants to go in and do an audition and just kind of have your paper in your hand. You really want to live it. You really want to enjoy it. So that's
I think that's awesome advice. I mean, even like you mentioned, people going to work every day and working 8 or 9 hours. When we go to work, we're not just going to be at that job in that whatever we're doing for the rest of our life. You want to move up in the company, so of course you have to keep working at perfecting that job and learning new things about the job that you want to go towards.
Exactly. Yeah, it's our life choice, but since we look at it as actors, I only have to do this and I only have to do that. The other thing is the gym. I go to the gym every day. But that's also part of working. It's like keeping your body in tune, your mind in tune, everything in tune. It's all the same thing. It's all part of what you have to do.
Yeah. And speaking of gym, I read that you're really into fitness and nutrition. What do you do besides the gym to keep yourself in shape and eat right?
Well, I'm a vegetarian. I have been since I was 14. So, and I do everything from balancing my proteins for, how many grams for how much you weigh, and, I read up on it, and I'm quite fanatical. And, but I do spend a lot of my time in the gym. That's really where I get most of my fitness. I know a lot of people are more into the outdoors. I love outdoor things, but I can't plan that in for staying fit, So it's like I love running the beach or doing things like that, but I always make sure I get a good hour and a half a day in, like 5 days a week, and I love it. I mean, for me, it keeps your mind balanced. It keeps your emotions balanced. It makes you feel, people think, I don't have time to work out or to eat right. And
that would be me.
But when you work out and you eat right, then you have so much more time and you feel so much better and your mind works so much better and your clothes fit so much better, and you know what I mean? So it's like everything becomes easier and happier rather than being more challenging and, oh, my gosh, I don't have time for this. So I will actually put everything down and go to the gym at my little scheduled time because it makes the rest of my life so much easier, even though I have no time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not just about time for me, though. I just don't like working out, or I need to find a way to do it in a fun way. I just haven't figured that out yet. And I'm always
part of it is also finding your right spot. We all have our right spot. Like out here we have 3 gyms, and they all have different flavors. So it's like I kind of like the more, down and dirty gym that I've gone to since I was really, really young out here. But, and some people like fancier gyms, and some people like, gyms with classes and bikes and this, that, and the other thing. I just like weightlifting and body weight exercises. I like everything from push-ups and dips and all. Those are like all my favorite things, abs and squats and, but you have to find like your right flavor. You have to like go inside the gyms and kind of get the feel of them at different times of day and see where it is that you'd want to spend that kind of time.
That's some great advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I have one last question. If you could relive any moment of your life so far, what would it be and why?
Relive. Oh, my God. I just want to live the next moment.
Yeah.
I really do. I just want to, and I hate to turn your question like that, but I don't know that I want to relive anything. I'm just so excited for what's next. It's like I don't have a moment in the past that's better than a moment that was in its recent future. It's all,
or maybe
and I'm
coming
done
up.
Yeah, and I'm done with that. I mean, look at this Saturday. I don't know if you know, I'm winning the Maverick Award at the Action on Film Festival. I mean, that's huge. And I look at the other people that have won that award, and I still, like how I said earlier, I really don't understand, like, why am I getting this? You know what I mean? But it's a huge award. And so it's just, I don't know. I can't go back and want to relive anything. Maybe a great boating trip, but as far as work, I'm a big boater, sorry. But yeah, I would only say things that were, vacations or whatever. Gosh, even vacation spots I don't want to go back to. It'd have to be boating or the future. Yeah.
That sounds good. Well.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I like how you live in the moment because I think that puts less stress on yourself, and you can't think of what has been in the past because it's over and done with, and hopefully you learned from whatever you need to learn, and you can't count on the future. You only have to live in the day, and I know that's written somewhere, but I believe in that. I'm such a big what-if person, only since I've had my children. What if this happens? What if that happens? Whatever, And I try to get out of that as best as I can, and I think I've done pretty well, especially with them being grown and when they were out of the house and not back in. You kind of have to push that aside. Like my daughter is out of the house, and she lives with her friends, and she's working all the time, but I always think, oh, where is she? What is she doing? I hope she's okay. I haven't heard from her in a couple days. Whereas when I was her age, my mom and I, were like twins. We hung out together. We talked on the phone every day, you know, and everything like that. And it's a little bit different relationship with my daughter. So I have to put those what ifs aside and think, okay, she's fine. If anything was wrong, I would have gotten a phone call. I have to turn it around.
Right, right. Well, and you can't change anything by worrying. You know, it's like we all worry, but I try not to worry because all you can do is your very best job, but you can't keep life from happening.
Yeah,
exactly.
I need to remember that. I have a problem with being a big worrywart, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll just stress you out. Go to the gym.
Yeah. Exactly. Or go for a walk. See, I have tried to go for walks, but where I'm at, I'm in Georgia, and it gets super hot and humid in the summer most of the time. This year has been nicer, but yeah, I'll have to figure something out. But I actually was curious about if you still are singing, when, and how you're doing with music, and how we could hear it, and what genre of music you like to sing.
Well, I actually haven't sung besides in the kitchen after a couple glasses of wine at night. Since the late 90s, I did a soundtrack for one of the features because the character was a singer. And but you can see that. Gosh, you can see that on my website. If you do the drop down from the clips, there's a trailer in there called "I Might Even Love You," and there's a duet in there that I sang as the theme song. But I sang a lot of country and blues, mostly because my favorite church growing up, I sang in 5 different churches because I would ride my bike because I loved to sing. And my favorite was the Baptist church because they'd all get up and be singing with you and waving their arms around and stuff like that. So when I started singing in clubs, I started out with blues and some country. So, but really I like a lot of pop and I like a lot of rock. And so it's really kind of funny that wasn't really what I sang, but that was what was, what I was really, 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 really good at. So, yeah. But it doesn't mean I won't do it again. Yeah, it'll pop up again at some point. I'll get an opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't know when it'll happen.
You never know. Next could be Broadway, so you might be singing in a musical.
I love musicals.
Well,
yeah.
For our listeners, I'd like to let them know where to find you. And Tracy is on Twitter, so you can find her at Tracy Birdsall, and it's TracyBirdsall. And also Facebook, same, Tracy Birdsall. Just put it up in there in the search and comes right up. And her website is tracybirdsall.com. I think I pretty much covered them all, right?
I think you did. And on tracybirdsall.com, and like I said, it has an EY on Tracy, there's a link to everything on there, too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you had to be different with your name, but that's why I spelled it out, because a lot of people spell their names differently these days, and if you try looking it up one way, you might end up with someone else.
Right. It's actually my birth name, so I didn't get to mess with it at all. I just kept my birth name, yeah.
Yeah. No, I actually know quite a few Tracys that spell it that way, but more so without the E in it, but that's nothing wrong with that. So, well, we want to thank you so much for joining us today, Tracy. It's been so much fun speaking with you, and we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. And I can't wait to watch these movies that you got out.
Okay,
Same
great.
here.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. You guys have been great. It's been fun chatting with you.
Thank you. Keep in touch, and we'll promote whatever you have going.
Sounds great. I love that. Okay.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Oh, my gosh. I've got to see the comedies and stuff that she's in, and even the dramedy that she was talking about. They sound like so much fun. And do you like your balls? I've got to see that. I have got to see that. That title caught me right away, so we need to do that. We need to watch
I'll definitely be watching.
Yeah, and we can have some homework, too. We got to find a Lucy script.
I don't know where, but I have some peeps I can ask, so, I'll check with some of my peeps and see if I can figure out if there's something out there to look at. That would be so cool. I have, and of course I can't think of what the song is. I want to say it's the one that Desi sang to
Lucy on the Desi and Lucy show about having the baby. And I have the musical sheets for that I won on eBay or something. They're the original, supposedly.
Oh.
So I don't know. Either way, if it is or isn't, I'm still happy I got it because it's so neat to have those collectibles when you adore people like that.
Yeah, that is awesome. I have my fair share, especially from the events the festivals I went to in Jamestown. And then getting to meet her daughter was like one of the biggest thrills of my life.
Most definitely.
It was close to meeting her, but obviously. Yeah.
Well, you're lucky. I don't know if I'll ever get to meet her, but I'd like to someday. I'd even like to get to Jamestown to one of those festivals, but I'm not holding my breath on anything right now. We'll see how life goes.
Yeah, I haven't been able to get back.
I'm living in the moment.
Yep. There's a lot of great advice that Tracy gave that I think I need to try to take myself.
Definitely. And I like what she said, too, about as far as going to different places to work out. You think when there's a chain of gyms that they're all the same. You know, you just think of it that way. Mm-hmm. But obviously it's not like that. So it would, if you do get like one of those 2-week trial things, maybe go to different gyms and try them out, and who knows, you'll find one you like.
Yeah.
So,
definitely.
Anyways, that'll bring a close to today's show. I want to thank Sabina for joining me today. It's been a long time since we've been doing this together. When was the last show you did? Was it this year? Right before we went on break, wasn't it?
Yeah, I want to say it was Renee Lawless.
Maybe.
Maybe it was right after. I can't remember. It's been too long.
Yeah, well, we needed the break. I took 2 months off, and both shows, almost both shows. I started my music show back earlier because I have just tons and tons and tons of indie music being sent to me constantly and people asking for interviews, and you're like, you got to get on a lot of those right away because as actors, they're busy, out gigging, doing something, and only have so much time in a day. So you have to take them as they're available. So, with that said,
I've got a few
I started
for
the
you
music
too.
show. Yeah, you know what? I told you I was going to check out that one, and I haven't yet. So maybe I'll do that right after the show while I'm thinking about it, and we'll do something with that. Also, I'm going to play my automated man again so that he can tell you where to find us. But one thing on there is because you have to pay by the word or by the letter or the spaces or something, I was pretty much had to do a small script. But to follow Sabina and my other co-host, David, you can follow them on Twitter at Take-Two Radio Crew, and that's with the number 2. And if you follow us on Blog Talk, they will send you an email each and every time we have a show set up, whether it's for this show or for my music show, since I combined them both into one, and went with Take-Two Radio Network because it kind of almost made no sense to be paying to do this on 2 different shows. Everybody's in the entertainment business one way or another, whether it's singing or acting or directing or author or psychic or who knows. It's still entertainment. Yeah. So that's kind of how I look at it now.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting on some confirmations for upcoming shows, so be sure to follow us or check out our Facebook and wherever else you can find us, the websites, and you'll see the next show to come up. Thanks again, Sabina. Have a good night. Thank you to everybody that listened tonight, and God bless each and every one of you.
Get connected with Take-Two Radio on Facebook or Twitter at Take-Two Radio. For email updates on future shows, follow at Blog Talk Radio. For previous episodes, upcoming guests, and more, visit TakeTwoRadio.com.